What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. So today I want to address a major FDA announcement that was made just this past week. Now I want to talk about this because obviously Thanksgiving is just right around the corner, and this report is now telling us that the FDA is going to approve something which they call a meat substitute. Now this isn't fake meat, this is lab grown meat. Look at this. FDA clears lab-grown meat for human consumption. What in the world does this mean? What is lab-grown meat? Well, I don't want to go into the specifics of it, but I do want to read you the actual announcement, the statement from the FDA. Look at this and then we'll discuss it. The FDA, okay, here it is. FDA spurs innovation for human food from animal cell culture technology. Now let's go and read through this. Again, this was on November 16th. This was just 4 days ago. It says, the world is experiencing a food revolution, and the U.S. Food and Drug Administration is committed to supporting innovation in the food supply. As an example of that commitment, today we are announcing that we have completed our first pre-market consultation of a human food made from cultured animal cells. Cultured animal cells. That sounds really good. I know when I woke up this morning, I was thinking, you know what? Sounds really good. Maybe some cultured animal cells. Yeah, that's delicious. Well, I didn't want cereal. That's what I wanted, right? Well, let's dig into this a little bit more. It says the agency evaluated the information submitted by Upside Foods, that is the company, as part of a pre-market consultation for their food made from cultured chicken cells, and has no further questions at this time about the firm's safety conclusion. Before this food can enter the market, blah, 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 they go into some other stuff, but I want to read you this, okay? I want to read you this right here. Advancements in cell culture technology are enabling food developers to use animal cells obtained from livestock, poultry, and seafood in the production of food, with these products expected to be ready for the U.S. market in the near future. That's interesting. So what we're hearing right now is that the FDA has cleared this lab-grown meat for human consumption. It doesn't mean it's ready to go out yet, but they've cleared it from that first hurdle. Now, here's why this is such a big deal. And I've talked about this in the past, but the reason why this is such a big deal is because what the past 2 years has done for the U.S. farmer. But not only the U.S. farmer, but people across the world. Consider this. We saw an issue with grain coming out of Ukraine and Russia, right? We saw there's a world grain shortage. And the issue there was, and you're probably thinking, okay, no big deal. Just won't eat bread, right? No bread, no pastas, don't worry. Well, here's the other issue there. Let's say you're a meat and potatoes type of person like I am. Well, what happens when the farmer, okay, the rancher, cannot feed his cattle because, well, there's no grain. No grain. There's just not enough. It's too expensive, right? What happens then? Well, you got to find an alternative. Well, what's the alternative? Well, according to a few people that I know that do have ranches down in Texas, one of the biggest issues is, well, it's just too expensive. So what do? They sell. They don't just sell their livestock, they sell their entire ranch. They're done. They're out of the business, out of the industry. They did not want to continue because of so much uncertainty at this time. Well, this is big because when the FDA says, you know what, let's use some lab-grown meat. That sounds good, right? Let's get some of those cells and let's cultivate some meat, right? It's interesting. That's very interesting. Well, I also want to read you this statement right here. It says, okay, we're going to read this one right here together. It says, the FDA is ready to work with additional firms developing cultured animal cell food and production processes to ensure their products are safe and lawful under the Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act. We also plan to issue guidance to assist firms that intend to produce human foods from cultured animal cells to prepare for pre-market consultations. The published draft, blah, blah, blah. We are already engaged in discussions with multiple firms about various types of products made from cultured animal cells, including those made from seafood cells, which will be overseen solely by the FDA. We continue to encourage firms to enter into dialogue with us often and early in their product development phase, well ahead of making any submission to us. Okay, so what does this mean? Well, this means that we are going to start eating products that are not actual meat, right? We've heard of Beyond Meat, right? Got that the burger substitute, right? That vegan burger. Yeah, I know a lot of people loved it. I think I had one. It was okay, but I would rather have the real thing. Now, according to experts, they say this is the real thing. The only problem is some people are going to question whether this is legitimately, animal meat, right? Now, let's talk about one of the advantages. One of the major advantages, at least at this point, is the major advantage of lab-grown meat over conventional is lab-grown meat is grown in a controlled condition, in controlled environment. So it will minimize the risk of foodborne illnesses and other diseases transmitted by animals. That's good, especially considering kind of what happened over the past 2 years, right? We had a lot of illness, and I think a lot of people are getting sick again. It may be something completely different, don't know. But again, that's for a different video. But here's the thing. If this or any illness can be passed on from human or from animal to human, right? And then human to human and human to human and so forth, so on. Well, that's a real concern. So this is actually a pretty big advantage if we can control the foodborne illnesses, right? And we don't have any diseases. That's great. That is great. That means we will not get sick based off eating a certain product. That's good. Now, let's get to one of the downsides. And actually, there's two downsides I want to get to first, and then I want your take on this as well. One of the downsides to lab-grown meat is that it is still fairly new, which means we don't know if there's negative side effects, right? I remember, years ago when cigarettes wasn't a big deal, right? Wasn't a big deal, but then it's like, oh, they cause cancer. Well, would this potentially cause cancer? That's one of the worries, is that could be a potential side effect. But again, still too soon, so we don't know. But experts do believe that they will have an answer many years after consumers start to eat this. Here's the issue. We have to eat it first, and then we'll have an idea of what exactly the side effects are. The other downside, and if that wasn't enough, the other downside is that right now lab-grown meat is still fairly expensive. But according to multiple companies, they say they can get the price down. But the good news with the price being rather expensive now is that we would be able to adjust for it. We wouldn't see major spikes simply because of something like the bird flu, right? Or if we see something get done for let's say lobster or crab, right? Well, if we have a shortage of crab like there's is in Alaska, well, we wouldn't have a big the prices wouldn't fluctuate that much simply because we can just produce it. Now, other things will factor into this as well, but that's a big deal. So that is one of the downsides, is that it's still fairly expensive, but according to some, if the price of chicken and beef and seafood continue to rise, well, this might be a cheaper alternative. So I guess that's some good news there. But that is what we know at this time. As always, as I know more, I promise I'll come back on and share all latest news and updates. But please do me a favor. Let me know your thoughts. Would you eat lab-grown meat? I'm just curious. Let me know down in the comment section below.